Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, whether you 2 or 92, all points in between. Welcome in. Welcome aboard. Episode 61 of Susio Sports presented by Gel Blasters and Inplay Dogs. I'm Jermaine. I'm your host. I'm flying solo tonight. So, just going to preview the new year, new season. My brother couldn't make it tonight because he had work obligations, but
I'm back, Mr. Magic. Blue and color purple, I make it rain on your phone. Thought I had a plan the way I blow that money. Thought I had a plan the way I blow that money. Chill. I'm back. Mr. Magic City, blue and color purple, I make it rain on your phone. Thought I had a plan the way I blow.
yes, I am back. Peace to everybody in the chat that's coming in. Marks and Mikes, shout out to them. If you haven't seen them, go over and subscribe. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button over there on their YouTube channel. News put out some good content, man. They put it out consistently as well. Follow them on Twitter. All that good stuff. Excuse me, I got a new phone, and so I'm trying to figure out like sometimes I be doing stuff wrong on my phone. Man, glad to be back. Took a little break for the holidays and whatnot, just to kind of recoup, relax. You know what I'm saying? Get back to it. And we coming out the gate this week. It's a lot. It's a lot. But just wanted to kind of holler at y'all, peek our head through, say we back. Because there is so much to go over. Bro, my mama sending me TikToks. Jesus. God, man. I'll look at that later. But no, man, it's just there's just a lot. Not just in between that week since we haven't been live, but there was just a lot to get to just this week. Like we were looking over notes and putting the rundown together, and like I would see Keyz type something in, I would type something in, and I would see Keyz make an edit, I'll make an edit or whatever. It was just, man, we saw so much stuff just this week that we wanted to tap into and touch on. But I'm gonna tap in and touch on a few little things, just the really important stuff, because we just wanted to do an episode tonight just to kind of say hello to everybody, come back and start back up again for the new year. Rested, recharged, rest. Yeah, right. Um, but enjoy some family time and stuff like that. Christmas, New Year was good. Hope y'all Christmas and New Year was good. You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody had a safe Christmas and New Year's. Hopefully nobody lost any limbs, fingers, digits, or lives. Hopefully nobody went to jail or nothing like that. Peace to everybody in Cali, man. Right now, dealing with those wildfires and stuff. It's kind of Scary. But yeah, man, y'all be careful out there in that cold weather, man. Like some people up north, I don't know how y'all do it, especially like people that live down south and then they move up north. Like, bro, I don't know how y'all get adjusted to that kind of thing, man. My little cousins, they did the same thing. Like they they born and raised in New Orleans, move up to New York, got used to it. Like man, y'all wow, I can't do it. Can't. But anyway, one of the first things we did want to touch on tonight was different firings in the NFL. Usually, you know they call it Black Monday, right? Um, so Black Monday is the Monday after the season concludes. That Sunday, normally that Monday, or sometimes that Sunday right after the game, what have you. Folks get fired. Okay, Black Monday commenced, and you saw a bunch of coaches get let go. Now the bad thing is we saw, I think Dre he even it's right there in his comment. Gerard Mayo was set up. He was definitely set up to fail. Definitely set up to fail. It's good, man. Gerard Mayo was definitely set up to fail because he had perhaps one of the worst rosters in the league going into this year. So you send him into a gunfight with a plastic knife, and then you expect him to make something out of it. Doesn't make sense. Uh, Antonio Pierce got fired. Another pretty much impossible situation for another black head coach. Uh, GM Rang Carthon for the Titans, gone after 2 years. It's like, wait a minute. Is are my eyes deceiving me, or is it that these black head coaches and AGM aren't getting the same type of fair shake that some of these other GMs and coaches are getting around the league? Now, if the league says no, we don't have that problem. Okay, well, prove it to me because I'm seeing a lot of one and dones, and a lot of these one and dones, and a lot of these impossible situations happen to be black. And I'm seeing what happens when you get the fruits of your labor when you let a guy cook after being terrible, his first year or so. And then Dan Campbell, Detroit. These things take time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yes, there is parity in the league, and yes, that you can turn around a franchise relatively a no amount of time. However, you have to give them the opportunity to do so. Now, if they should happen to show something that's just that disastrous to where you feel like you need to make the change after that one season, okay, cool. But in some of these situations, we're not seeing. Maybe there is something behind the scenes that we aren't privy to that will show more to why this needed to happen after one season, or in the case of the Titans GM after 2 seasons. But I mean, I'm not buying it. I don't see it unless there was something else that was going on that we don't know about. Something's gonna have to come out and show me, because if this is starting to really look like the league has an issue with allowing minorities to the same amount of time on the job to succeed and or fail, and give them proper time to cook in the kitchen, as opposed to others who are given plenty of time to do what they need to do to show whether or not they're worth it. So I don't know, man. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look at it with my eyes open and not just sorry, I had to yell at the dog. But no, I'm just trying to look at it with my eyes open and not I'm not trying to, you know, pick at a scab or play the race card or anything like that. I'm just calling it like I see it. And I'm seeing that a lot of these coaches and front office people that aren't getting a fair shake, that are being let go after 1 or 2 seasons or what have you, people of color. And I'm seeing how hard it is for people of color to get these jobs, you know, without being put through a sham interview just to satisfy a Rooney Rule. So it's hard enough for them to even get an actual interview that's worth a damn, much less get the job, than keep the job. So there's a lot to be said, you know, just for the way it looks. And there may not be anything to it. There may be some other factors at play behind the scenes that we don't know. There could be, but if it looked like a duck and it walked like a duck and it quacked like a duck, God damn it ain't a goddamn mongoose. I'll tell you that much. Must be a duck. So I had to call that out right here at the front door at the beginning. Look, let's just get it out the way. It is what it is. It's just an ugly, unfortunate part of the business, something that we have to talk about, and we're not going to shy away from talking about those kind of topics. Uh, what I would like to see is more minority coaches and front office people get more shots and whatnot, yes. But at the same time, give them a fair shake. Are they going to be given the jobs that are the least attractive? Yes, because typically when teams get rid of coaches, it's not because they were doing so great or they left that organization in a great spot or great position. No, most times, more often than not, that team was in a bad position. So are they going to be privy to the best jobs? Depends on what that job looks like after that coach is being fired or that GM is being fired. So it is what it is. But going into this week, looking at the playoff picture, I just think that we're going to get some really good games. We're going to get some bad games. May get some blowouts. We may get some. I think we're going to get some good games though, because in the first round, like let's see, in the AFC, we have the Texans and the Chargers. We have the Ravens and the Steelers, Bills and the Broncos. Ravens Steelers is another divisional matchup between those two teams. So that should produce a very good matchup. Those two teams typically fight it out. Baltimore is a heavy favorite, however, in that game. Buffalo heavy favorite, 8.5 over the Broncos. Broncos team may surprise them because they're used to playing in the cold as well. So it's not like the cold is going to be a big deal for them. It's just they're undermatched when it comes to talent, especially at quarterback. Texans Chargers. The Chargers are actually favored. in this matchup in Houston. Interesting. I think I may pull the trigger on Texans money line on that. Over in the NFC, we got the Rams and the Vikings. I think Vikings all the way on that one. I don't think the Rams do have a shot, but if that Vikings offense clicks at any point in time and they can get anything out of that defense, I think that the Vikings should beat the Rams in LA. Bucks and Commanders. Tampa's a 3-point favorite in that game. I really like what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders are doing. However, Tampa is at home. That one's tough. I'm gonna have to go with Tampa on that one. If I have to just pick one of the two. And Eagles Packers. I'm gonna go with the Eagles on this one simply because I can't pick against Saquon Barkley and what he can do for that offense for Jalen Hurts and those wide receivers. Like he just opens up so much for them, and it makes it so much easier when you have a guy like a Saquon Barkley who can tote the rock for 2,000 yards in the season. So that's kind of how I see the first round of the playoffs going. Just gun to my head if I had to look at it, and just kind of pick and see who and what I think is going to happen. As far as the MVP race is concerned, honestly, it should be Lamar Jackson. And here's why. Lamar Jackson is thrown for, I believe, it's 40 touchdowns and 4 or 5 interceptions this season, right? Lamar has rushed for a crazy amount of yards. Like the touchdown interceptions, that's never been done. He's doing things that like haven't been done before in this season. And it's 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And then you look at his rushing totals, 915 yards with another 4 touchdowns rushing. So, I mean, he threw over 4,000 yards as well with a 66.7 completion percentage. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who just, I mean, he changed the way people look at him and what they say and what he can do as a quarterback, right? And my thing is, when you have somebody that does something like that on the team, that went Ravens were 12-5, and they won the AFC North, right? So we're not talking about he did that on like a 9-8 team. He needed to do all of that to have them come back and win a few games here and there. No, he did that on a team that won a division, 12 games. So I know people want to give it to Josh Allen, but when you look at their numbers side by side, the only category statistically that Josh Allen has that looks better than Lamar Jackson is rushing touchdowns, because Lamar has 4, Josh Allen has 12 rushing touchdowns. That is the only statistical category that Josh Allen beats Lamar Jackson in this season. So again, I ask you, why are we going to give it to Josh Allen and not give it to Lamar Jackson? If those are the 2 leading candidates, if you just want to look at those 2 guys in a vacuum, you're going to leave Saquon out of it. He's 3rd. You're looking at 1-2. And if that's what you're looking at with those 1-2, it's clearly Lamar Jackson. I believe Saquon Barkley should get some consideration because rushing for 2,000 yards in 16 games like he did it, because he didn't play that last game. Uh, that's incredible. He did it for a team that, I mean, the second seed in the NFC. I mean that's pretty good. That's great. But Lamar Jackson did was just that much better. I think the tush push cost him my MVP. I don't know. I would have to look at those stats and see how many of those touchdowns that they actually had this season. Um, but hey, I love what the Eagles have done on offense. They found a way to find a little bit more balance the last few weeks that have made the wide receivers happy. But you got to know whenever you have a running back who's performing at that level, you're going to keep feeding him and you're going to run the ball a lot more, right? So me as a receiver, I need to know, hey, I know I'm not going to get the ball thrown my way that much. I know we're going to take a hit in the pass game. I need to understand that. And I need to know there's going to be less opportunities for me out there, so I shouldn't get upset about it. That's just me and how I think and how I approach. Those guys felt and thought differently. So be it. But good to see those guys all get on the same page and for them to find some kind of ground, work things out and head into the playoffs on a good foot. With the college football playoff, we down to the final four. We got Texas and Ohio State on one side. We got Penn State and Notre Dame on the other side. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I am gonna root for whoever wins that Penn State Notre Dame game because I would love to see another first where we see the first black head coach win a national championship in college football. If I had to put money on it, though, I would probably say it's Ohio State's to lose the way they're playing right now. That team is just on a roll on both sides of the ball. And when they realize we have weapons, we can put the ball in the air, throw it to Jeremiah Smith. He's out there somewhere. Not to mention, these other great wide receivers that we have. Like, hello, you got weapons. Use them. And Will Howard is beating those allegations of he's not a good quarterback. Why did we bring him in? What is he doing? We could have had X, Y, and Z here instead of this guy. We started to show people, like, hey, this is why they brought me. Not to mention they have a two-headed monster at running back with Travion Henderson and Rashawn Judkins. So, and they have all sorts of talent on that defensive side of the ball. So that's why I say it's Ohio State's to lose pretty much because they were, if you look at it, the season as a whole, one of the better, if not the best team in the country for most of the season. You got some unfortunate losses, but look where they are right now. I just think that it's going to be very interesting moving forward with the seeding in the college football playoff. Only because the way they did it with the four teams that get the byes, I think they need to change that Uh, this season, we saw the top four teams and the bottom four teams all lose out, and the final four are teams 5 through 8. Do with that what you will. They need to find a way to seed it to where we get the right kind of matchups that we want to see, and we're not seeing blowouts as much as we can see competitive games. See them to where we can get competitive games. Um, no one wants to see blowouts. And there's always going to be a team that's going to make it, that's going to get beaten up on, unfortunately, and somebody's going to be like, "Well, they shouldn't have made it. This team should have made it," or, "Well, they were a two-loss team and we were a two-loss team. We should have made it." Well, there's always going to be an argument to be made for who should have made it over. So let's get that out of the way right now. Let's just try to find the 12 best teams that we can possibly find to put in this and have them play for the national championship. Seed them accordingly, how we need to go from there. Outside of that, I think these games are we should get pretty good football games in both of those games, because these four teams represent some top level programs overall in college football: Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, and Ohio State. So there's a lot of tradition and a lot of legacy on the line as well. Not just pride and some history on the line. Should Notre Dame or Penn State happen to win, so that you get the first African American head coach that wins the national championship. But there's also a lot of money on the line for these conferences as far as the pool, and we're moving towards that super conference field where there's teams are clicking up and joining together and making super conferences in order to survive in this pool of TV contracts and whatnot. And so it's a money thing, and that's what we're gonna have to go through. Is we're gonna have to deal with, and it is what it is. So let's just see what happens moving forward and how they decide to take this on. Hopping over to the NBA, I was just watching the Cavs and the Cavs and the Thunder were on, and Cleveland ended up pulling that game out 129-122. And it was a competitive game the entire game through. It's not often that you get a mid-season matchup of the best two teams in the league, one from the East, one from the West, but that's literally what we had. We had the first seed in the East, Cavs, and the first seed in the West, the Thunder, meeting up in Cleveland. And Cavs pulled out a 7-point win. It was crazy because Cleveland went into halftime with a 3-point lead, 62-59. And Donovan Mitchell only had 4 points. He was 1 of 7 or 1 of 8, I believe, at that point in time. And that one bucket, that one field goal that he scored, it was a nice drive, split the lane, two-handed dunk, literally seconds before the half. So, like, it was a great game to watch if you just love basketball, especially if you love positionless basketball. Because even though both teams have bigs, neither team really has traditional quote unquote bigs, and they don't use them in traditional manner either. So I love watching those two types of teams play. But get used to seeing these teams that you're not used to seeing at the tops of the standings. Like to see a Cleveland Cavaliers team be the top seed in the East, and it's not LeBron James uh, that's on that team is crazy. The Thunder have, I think they've established themselves now that they're here to stay. But the young Houston Rockets are number 2 in the West. The Grizzlies, of course, Nuggets, Mavs, Lakers, Clippers, what have you. Um, it's been pretty cool to see these teams just grow and develop, play, whatever and whatnot. But one other thing that I do also like seeing is the Orlando Magic, the way that team's grown and developed and whatnot. They've done a really good job of coming together. They had some injuries, and Paulo Banchero is supposed to come back this week, Thursday or Friday of this week. So he's supposed to come back. We're live now on Wednesday. He's supposed to come back tomorrow or Friday. So whenever you hear this, if you listen to this on Apple, Spotify, what have you, watching it back on YouTube, he's supposed to come back. That Pistons team is right now 8th in the East. So they're sticking around just above the Hawks and the Bulls. I think that team might actually make the play-in. Whether they'll stay in and actually make the rest of the playoffs is another thing. But it's been interesting to watch how that team has been at the bottom barrel of the league. And they finally started to show something. But the East is something fun to watch because West is as well. It just, like we've been trying to pay more attention to basketball, men's basketball this year, and that's what we've been doing. So keeping an eye on the league and whatnot and how these teams have been doing has been fun to see these younger teams really come and emerge as they're growing together, and these young stars are starting to take over the league because these other guys are starting to move along and move out, and it's time for us to get used to seeing these new faces in the league. We were going to talk about one of the things that we're going to be looking at coming up in NBA. Just like we're going to look at playoff picture and whatnot in football, and then the rankings issue and how they're going to do that moving forward for college football. But in the NBA, the new faces of the league. Those are the guys that we're going to be looking at. How long can LeBron keep playing? Just seeing how that's going to go, and what becomes of the Jimmy Butler situation. That's one of the like, not the far reaching, but one of the short term things. I think to the trade deadline in February, sometime next month, we'll be keeping an eye on that. But in college basketball, we saw the much anticipated Connecticut USC matchup with Juju Watkins and Paige Beckers. Last week, I made a note that in men's basketball in the SEC, last week the SEC had 10 out of the top 25 teams on January 4th. 10 out of the top 25. And people talk about SEC teams cheering for the SEC, and the SEC just needs more and whatnot. But I'm here to tell you, people, like, the SEC does not play when it comes to their athletics. They do do not play. It don't matter what it is. They don't play. Just letting you know, they may have had a down year in football this year. That didn't look bad. It really did. Trust me, they're going to come back. They're going to bounce back. But for a conference that's kind of known for being maybe top heavy, being mainly represented by Kentucky, or like Arkansas had those good teams back then. There haven't been too many traditional SEC powers in basketball that have taken over. The kids are bringing me offerings as they're going out with their friends. But no, like they just they have a bunch of really good teams that I've been watching. Tennessee has been really good. I believe Auburn's been really good. I mean, I've been popping in and out watching different teams and whatnot, and I've always been impressed by how I've seen some of these teams play. Matter of fact, ESPN did a player of a Wooden Award Player of the Year kind of mid-year like breakdown, and they had a whole like section dedicated just to SEC players because there were that many really good players in the SEC that deserves to be on the watch list or whatever. They also had some in the Big Ten. They had a Big Ten section. They had a freshman section. They had a returning player section. I mean, they just really they did a really good job of breaking it down about all of these different players that they were bringing back or that were on the Player of the Year watch list. It was really cool to see how many freshmen, true freshmen, on that list that are actually top dogs that should be watched. So just a lot of fun times in college basketball, men's college basketball, women's college basketball. Like I said, we had the Juju and Page matchup. That was really cool. I think one of the things that I need to key in on in women's college basketball is start to see who are the other contenders, because a lot of the times you see the teams at the top and you know the star players, but who are these other teams and these other players? Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame is really balling out, and I know Dre with the Dre Lax podcast. Shout out to Dre. Has us on Kiki Rice at UCLA. So I've been trying to keep up and peep what those ladies have been doing. But it's been really fun to try to spread our wings and just try to watch as much as we can. It's kind of exhausting because I also try to watch as much pro wrestling and stuff as I can. And staying up to watch New Japan, wow. But it was fun. So is just like watching random, like, I mean, I don't care what college basketball game it was. It was something else that was on, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna put the college basketball game on the big TV where I can hear and watch it, and I'll put whatever else it is I'm watching on the small TV that I normally have on mute, because I want to really key in and watch it and give it some attention, like we said we were going to do. Other stuff. Oh man! Now, on the flip side, I know I opened the show talking about how a bunch of NFL coaches and the GM got let go in some really messed up situations. It's looking pretty racist, NFL. I mean, prove me wrong. It's not looking good. Beat the allegations. It's not looking good. On the flip side, we've seen Michael Vick take the head coach job, I believe, at Norfolk State, and Deshaun Jackson has taken the head coaching job at Delaware State. Two former NFL greats, former All Pros, taking the head coaching job at HBCUs. So Dion kind of started a trend, man, and I'm hoping that they take these jobs and they know what they're getting into as far as what these teams have, as far as the budget is concerned, and as far as the facilities and what they can provide and whatnot. And it's an uphill battle a lot of the time in some of these HBCUs because they may not be working with the same kind of budget that some of these other schools are working with. However, their name, their face, their influence, they can infuse some, sponsorship of some things that can help infuse some cash into that program that can then give them some better tools to fight with. Are there going to be some people, some players that's going to commit to those teams simply because it's Mike Vick, simply because it's Deshaun Jackson? Yes, of course. Are they probably going to be able to attract some coaches that's going to go to that and want to work on that staff simply because they get to work with, those guys? Yes, of course. But when it's time to, put feet to pavement and produce, I think that these guys can get that done because I think on name alone they're going to pull in a lot. They're going to pull in an attraction. People are going to be willing to like, hey, yes, I want to get involved in this program. I want to help change. I want to do something. I want to be coached by these guys. And I think that people are going to want to help them because they're trying to do something positive and they want to do it and do it for the right reasons. They're not starting off like, I want to bypass that. I want to go coach at this level. No, they're taking jobs at HBCUs, somewhere where they know, I'm not taking some big fancy job, cush job at some big, high dollar university that's going to pay me 7 figures. I'm taking a lower level job because in Mike Vick's case, that's my community, literally. So it's pretty dope to see that. I wanted to make sure I addressed that as well. That was something that Keyz made sure you reminded me of. The Fox Sports lawsuit situation. Look here. That peanut butter skin, that big rack. Hey, man. Wow. Skill. Come on, man. Oh, y'all wilding over there at Fox Sports, boy. Wilding. Y'all need to get it together. We were going to do our New Year's sports resolutions. However, I'm going to wait for Keyz so we can do them together for our New Year's sports resolutions for this year. I do not have a rant for this week either because I'm not angry. I'm not. Hey, look at my boy Iverson. Iverson's a good dude. He's a good kid. I like that kid. He literally was just in my house with my kids. So shout out to Iverson. But yeah, this was just a little light work preview episode for the upcoming new year. Just want to bring y'all more infotainment, as I'll say it, because we want to inform you, but we also want to entertain you. Um, we didn't want to keep y'all long tonight anyway. It just, kind of got a little bit shortened up because Keyz has some work obligations. Uh, but hopefully, I got to all the points that he had that he wanted me to get to tonight. If I didn't, oh well, shoot me. With your gel blasters, because Cammy sent you yours. She sent me mine. I need mine. But anyway, this has been episode 61 of Sucio Sports, presented by Gel Blasters and Inplay Dogs. I am Jermaine, host. That's it. I'll be good. Catch y'all next week for episode 62, Sucio Sports. Peace. We out here.